It may sound hard to believe, but almost exactly 2 months from tonight, St. Louis City SC will be making saves for real at City Park as a member of the MLS. One of the architects of this St. Louis soccer dream is sporting director Lutz Pfannenstiel, who's essentially St. Louis's soccer equivalent of John Mozeliak or Doug Armstrong. Pfannenstiel has lived a one-of-a-kind soccer life and has big plans for our newest team in town. He's also the subject of tonight's Cardinal Buick Sunday Conversation. So by now, I think St. Louis sports fans know who you are at least, but they may not know just how crazy your life in soccer has been. First of all, how many countries, how many teams over your years?
Well, it's even difficult for me to tell you exactly. I think it was 13 countries, 25 teams on 6 continents, so which that probably makes me a little bit unique because I'm the only professional who played on all 6 FIFA continents.
20 years to the date, just a couple days ago, the incident in England where you did die on the pitch and were revived. Just what do you actually remember about those moments?
We came directly at the same time to the ball, and he kind of tried to jump over me, and he tripped and his knee fell right into my sternum, which it was more like a boxing injury. It switched off my complete nerve system in my upper body, and I actually died. I had my lungs collapsed, I had no more pulse, I had no more heartbeat, and the physio of Bradford, he brought me back 3 times before they got me finally into the hospital.
So it's not all near death and doom and gloom. Tell me about this penguin story in New Zealand, because that seems to get a lot of play.
When I played in New Zealand, in Dunedin, there's the biggest colony of penguins actually outside the Antarctica. And when I saw them, I somehow fell in love with the idea of a penguin as a pet. So I borrowed one for a few days, put him in my bathtub with a lot of ice, realized pretty quick that it's not really a good pet to have. The smell was terrible, I tell you.
You've seen more soccer, different teams and countries than maybe anybody in the world. Why are you here in the Midwest in St. Louis with St. Louis City SC?
I spoke to Carolyn, she introduced the project, and I realized, I think within a day, that this is probably the most exciting project in the world of football, to build something completely from scratch. When I came here, I had a few PowerPoint presentations, a white piece of paper and an iPad, and we literally drew everything up from day one.
The draft was a whirlwind. You guys had the first pick, traded that away, ended up taking Owen O'Malley later on. Just describe your strategy for this draft in your first year.
So when we did the trade, I realized that people were like kind of worried. As a number 20, you will normally not get the player you want. But at the same time, we knew with number 9, we can get most likely O'Malley, which worked out in the end, you know, and also getting Johnny Klein as a local kid. I think that is what St. Louis is all about. You know, we want to give our local talent opportunities.
Roman Berkey is a guy who's been here longer than anybody. You got him in early. You're a former goalkeeper. The goalkeeper gets a lot of attention. Why is he the right guy to be the first keeper for this team?
He is, in my opinion, probably the best goalkeeper ever played in the United States. I say when Tim Howard left, he was very young. When he came back, he was a little bit older already, so he was not playing at his prime over here. He played in England. Berkey was one of the top goalkeepers in Europe. He played Champions League, he played Swiss national team. His playing style, being very good with both feet, being very proactive, fits very much into our ways of play.
Expansion teams can find it a little hard to break in. What are some realistic goals for this 2023 season?
You know, it's a tough one. I mean, usually an expansion team gets kicked around in the first year. I see it a bit different. I always say we are not a typical expansion team because we had already some of our players earlier here. However, I think we need to be realistic and fair. What really is a realistic goal here? I mean, of course, we would love to make the playoffs. That is clear. That's our biggest goal. But if we're having a good season and we're missing out by a few points, I think in year 1, there will still be a successful year. But I don't want to see us as a pushover, where the first year, basically, you're just paying for learning. I think we are probably a little bit further than that.
Almost every time we've talked to you, you've talked about hard pressing and just kind of what you want this team to be about. Explain the persona you want this team to have next year, or this year, since this will be airing in 2023.
We want to be the team which which is in charge. Where I always say, gateway to hell, coming here, and teams should hate to play in St. Louis because we're going to be all over them, especially at home. We're trying to be active, and playing that high intensity football, especially in a hot summer in St. Louis, is not something teams will really enjoy when they're coming here. So I think it fits a lot with the Midwestern mentality. If I look at the way the Blues play hockey, that's a little bit what you can expect from us as well.